Inside the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks. There are prisons where people lose their freedom. Then there are prisons where soldiers lose everything they once stood for. Behind these stone walls sits America's only maximum security military prison, a place built not only to punish crime, but to strip away rank, privilege, and identity. Here, decorated combat veterans, military officers, and convicted murderers all wear the same uniform. Medals no longer matter. Years of service mean nothing. Inside these walls, military discipline never disappears. In many ways, it becomes even harsher. What happens when someone trained to defend their country becomes an inmate of the country they once served? The answer reveals one of the most secretive correctional systems in America. Before we continue, subscribe if you enjoy well-researched documentaries about prisons, crime, and the justice system. And leave a comment sharing where you're watching from. It's always fascinating to see how far these stories travel across the world. Because what happens next takes us inside a prison unlike any other in the United States. A prison unlike any other. The United States Disciplinary Barracks, often called the USDB, is located inside Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Unlike federal prisons operated by the Bureau of Prisons or state correctional facilities, this institution belongs to the U.S. Army and serves the entire Department of Defense. It is not simply another prison with military guards. It is a prison designed specifically for service members who have committed the military's most serious crimes. The inmates housed here once belonged to every branch of the armed forces. Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard. And now, Space Force personnel can also fall under the military justice system. Some arrived after committing murder. Others were convicted of rape, espionage, child abuse, violent assaults, or large-scale drug trafficking. Some committed crimes while deployed overseas. Others committed offenses inside the United States. Each one passed through courts-martial instead of civilian criminal courts. Yet once those sentences begin, life inside these walls feels familiar in some ways and completely different in others. Because military prisons never forget one thing. Every inmate was once part of the armed forces. That reality changes everything. And as you'll soon discover, even the guards are different. Who ends up here? Most Americans never encounter the military justice system. But every active duty service member lives under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, known simply as the UCMJ. This legal system operates alongside civilian law. That means a soldier who commits a crime can face military prosecution, even if similar conduct would normally be handled differently in civilian courts. General courts-martial handle the most serious offenses. If convicted and sentenced to lengthy confinement, an inmate may eventually be transferred to the USDB. Many arrive serving decades. Others receive life sentences. A small number were originally sentenced to death. Although military executions have become extraordinarily rare, the prison has historically housed death row prisoners under military authority. Walking through these gates means the military has determined that rehabilitation, punishment, security, and accountability must happen inside its own correctional system. But the journey into this prison begins long before the first cell door closes. Because every new arrival must first learn one painful lesson. Nothing about their former military career protects them anymore. Arrival. The transport vehicle pulls into a secure receiving area. The inmate steps out wearing restraints. Every movement is watched. Correctional specialists search personal property. Identification is confirmed. Medical evaluations begin almost immediately. Mental health professionals conduct interviews. Fingerprints are verified. Photographs are updated. Every scar, every tattoo, every identifying feature becomes part of a permanent institutional record. The military values documentation. Inside the USDB, that attention to detail continues with remarkable precision. Former rank disappears during processing. Whether someone once commanded hundreds of troops or enlisted only months before committing a crime, everyone enters through the same intake procedures. The psychological impact can be enormous. Many inmates spent years following military routines built around pride, purpose, and responsibility. Now every decision belongs to someone else. Where to walk, when to eat, when to sleep, when to speak. Control vanishes almost overnight. And for some, losing control proves harder than losing freedom itself. But intake is only the beginning. The real challenge begins after the cell door closes. The cell. Compared with America's oldest prisons, many housing areas inside the USDB appear surprisingly clean. Floors remain polished. Walls receive regular maintenance. Uniformity dominates nearly every space. Military culture values order. That culture extends into confinement. Cells contain only essential items. A bunk. A toilet. A sink. Limited storage. Few personal possessions. Everything has a designated location. Everything is inspected. Disorder attracts attention. And attention often brings consequences. Life inside these cells follows schedules measured almost to the minute. Wake-up calls arrive early. Beds must meet inspection standards. Living areas remain organized. Even inmates serving life sentences continue following structured daily routines. That may sound minor. But after years or decades, every repeated instruction becomes part of psychological survival. Because idle minds inside prison often create dangerous situations. Routine keeps tension under control. At least most of the time. But beneath this organized appearance lies another reality. The inmates themselves create an entirely different set of rules. And breaking those unwritten rules can become just as dangerous as violating official ones. The hidden social order. Unlike many civilian maximum security prisons, military prisons generally experience lower levels of gang violence. That does not mean life is peaceful. Far from it. Power still exists. Respect still matters. Reputation still determines survival. Many inmates arrive carrying military habits that never completely disappear. Some naturally assume leadership roles. Others avoid attention entirely. Some become known for helping others understand prison routines. Others earn reputations through intimidation. The strongest currency inside often becomes reliability. Someone who keeps promises, pays debts, avoids unnecessary conflict, does not involve others in disciplinary problems. These qualities matter. Because prison life depends on predictability. An unpredictable inmate creates risk for everyone nearby. There is another invisible rule. Never pretend to be something you are not. Military culture often values confidence. Prison punishes false confidence very quickly. Experienced inmates recognize fear almost instantly. They also recognize arrogance. Both can create problems. Finding the balance becomes essential. And sometimes, that balance determines whether someone serves years quietly or spends them constantly looking over their shoulder. But surviving other inmates is only one part of life here. The institution itself demands complete obedience. And every day begins the same way. Morning behind the walls. Before sunrise, movement begins. Lights come on. Voices echo through concrete hallways. Official counts verify every inmate. No mistakes. No exceptions. Each person must be exactly where records indicate. Correctional specialists check cells. Schedules begin immediately afterward. Breakfast follows strict timing. Meals are simple. Nutritious enough to meet standards. Efficient enough to feed hundreds without unnecessary delay. Unlike many civilian prisons, military discipline influences everything from posture to movement. Inmates move according to institutional procedures. Unauthorized wandering simply does not exist. After breakfast, assignments begin. Some inmates work institutional jobs. Others attend educational programs. Some receive counseling. Medical appointments operate throughout the day. Vocational opportunities may become available depending on custody level and behavior. Good conduct often creates opportunities. Poor conduct removes them. The system rewards consistency. Not promises. Not excuses. Only demonstrated behavior. Still, even perfect behavior cannot erase certain realities. Some inmates know they will never leave these walls. And that knowledge changes the meaning of every single day. Discipline inside a military prison. Military prisons maintain order through structure rather than chaos. Rules cover nearly every aspect of daily life. Disobeying direct orders. Possessing contraband. Threatening staff. Fighting. Damaging property. Refusing work assignments. Each violation triggers disciplinary procedures. Investigations follow. Evidence is reviewed. Sanctions depend upon severity. Consequences may include loss of privileges, reduced recreation, restricted commissary access, administrative segregation, or additional criminal charges in serious cases. Unlike Hollywood portrayals, punishment rarely arrives through dramatic confrontations. Instead, it comes through paperwork, documentation, formal hearings. Military bureaucracy follows inmates into prison. Every incident becomes another official record. Every decision enters another file. Some inmates describe this as mentally exhausting. Because nothing disappears. Everything is documented. Everything is remembered. And what happens next reveals perhaps the greatest psychological challenge inside the USDB. It has nothing to do with violence. It has everything to do with time. Inside the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks. For many inmates, the greatest punishment inside the United States Disciplinary Barracks isn't the locked doors. It isn't the constant supervision. It isn't even the loss of freedom. It's time. Time moves differently behind military prison walls. Outside, years seem to disappear in the rush of careers, family life, and ordinary routines. Inside, every hour is accounted for. Every day follows nearly the same schedule. Weeks blur together. Months become difficult to separate. Eventually, years begin to feel almost identical. Some inmates describe it as living inside an endless calendar where nothing changes except the date. And that slow passage of time affects every decision they make. Because once routine becomes your entire world, even the smallest disruption feels enormous. Living with a life sentence. Not everyone inside the USDB knows when they will go home. Some never will. Life sentences are a reality here. Many of those inmates arrived decades ago. Some committed crimes during wartime. Others committed violent offenses on military installations or while serving stateside. Every life sentence carries its own story. Some involve arguments that turn deadly. Others involve carefully planned murders. There are cases involving fellow service members. Cases involving spouses. Children. Complete strangers. Despite the different circumstances, they all share one reality. Tomorrow will begin exactly where today ends. Life without parole changes the human mind in profound ways. At first, many inmates focus on appeals. Legal motions. Hope that a conviction might be overturned. But appeals eventually end. The courts make their decisions. Reality settles in. That moment can be one of the most psychologically dangerous periods of incarceration. Mental health professionals closely monitor inmates during these transitions. Depression becomes common. Anxiety grows. Some withdraw almost completely. Others begin searching for purpose inside prison. Education. Religious study. Teaching other inmates. Working institutional jobs. Anything that creates meaning inside a place designed for punishment. Because without purpose, even the strongest person can begin to break. And in a prison built around military discipline, mental resilience becomes just as important as physical safety. The men who wear the uniform on the other side. Unlike civilian prisons, many staff members inside the USDB are soldiers themselves. They are known as correctional specialists. Their mission is unlike almost any other assignment in the military. Instead of guarding enemy combatants overseas, they supervise fellow service members convicted of serious crimes. That creates a unique professional challenge. Some officers are younger than the inmates they supervise. Some guards encounter prisoners who once held higher military ranks than they ever will. Imagine supervising a former colonel. Or a decorated combat veteran. Or someone who once commanded hundreds of soldiers. Inside these walls, none of that matters. Authority belongs to the institution. Professionalism becomes essential. Personal feelings cannot interfere. The relationship between staff and inmates remains carefully controlled. Respect is expected from both sides. The military places enormous emphasis on discipline. That culture influences nearly every interaction. Commands are clear. Procedures remain consistent. Documentation follows every significant event. Most days pass without incident. But correctional specialists know something the public rarely sees. A calm prison can become dangerous in seconds. That's why vigilance never stops. Not during meals. Not during recreation. Not even during routine conversations. Because one mistake can change everything. The weight of military shame. Most prisons punish criminal behavior. Military prisons punish something else as well. The loss of honor. Every inmate who enters the USDB once took an oath. Many served in combat zones. Many received awards. Some saved lives. Others spent years building respected military careers. Then something happened. One decision. One violent act. One criminal conspiracy. Sometimes years of hidden misconduct. Everything they built disappeared almost overnight. Military culture places extraordinary importance on trust. Service members rely on one another in life or death situations. When someone commits a serious crime, that trust is shattered. Former comrades often feel betrayed. Families struggle to understand. Communities ask difficult questions. For many inmates, shame follows them far longer than any newspaper headline. Some stop talking about their military careers altogether. Others replay their mistakes endlessly. Psychologists who study long-term incarceration often describe guilt as one of the most powerful forces inside prison. Some inmates accept responsibility. Others continue insisting they were wrongly convicted. Still others exist somewhere in between, acknowledging parts of what happened while denying others. Whatever the truth, the past remains impossible to escape. Because inside these walls, there are very few distractions. Silence gives memory plenty of room to grow. Education behind bars. The public often imagines maximum security prisons as places where inmates simply wait for time to pass. Reality is more complicated. The USDB provides educational opportunities for eligible inmates. Academic courses, vocational training, life skills instruction. Some inmates pursue high school equivalency diplomas. Others complete college-level coursework through approved programs. Education serves several purposes. It reduces idle time. It improves behavior. And for inmates who will eventually return to society, it increases the chances of successful reintegration. Not every prisoner participates. Some refuse. Others lose eligibility because of disciplinary problems. But many discover that learning provides structure beyond the prison schedule itself. Books become valuable companions. History, psychology, religion, law. Military history remains especially popular among certain inmates. Ironically, some spend years studying the institution they once served. Knowledge cannot shorten a sentence. But it can change how someone survives it. And survival inside prison often depends upon finding something worth waking up for. Faith inside the walls. Faith plays a significant role inside many correctional institutions. The USDB is no exception. Religious services are available for inmates from different faith traditions. Christian services, Islamic study, Jewish worship, other approved religious programs. For some prisoners, faith becomes a source of forgiveness. For others, it becomes discipline, routine, hope. Some inmates discover religion for the first time after incarceration. Others return to beliefs they abandoned years earlier. Chaplains often become some of the most trusted individuals inside the institution. Unlike investigators or correctional staff, their role focuses on spiritual care rather than security. That trust can be incredibly important, especially during moments of crisis. Deaths in the family, appeals denied, mental health struggles, the realization that decades remain before release. Faith cannot unlock prison gates. But many inmates say it helps them survive what lies behind them. And sometimes, surviving another day becomes the greatest victory available. Still, not every struggle happens inside a chapel. Some happen in the recreation yard. Recreation doesn't mean freedom. For a short time each day, eligible inmates may leave their housing units for recreation. The fresh air feels different, even if it arrives through layers of fencing. Some walk endless circles around the yard. Others exercise. Pull-ups, push-ups, running, strength training. Physical fitness remains deeply connected to military identity. Many inmates continue exercising long after their military careers have ended. It creates routine, relieves stress, builds confidence. But recreation also serves another purpose. Observation. Staff carefully watch interactions. Who spends time together? Who suddenly stops speaking? Who appears unusually agitated? Prisons often reveal warning signs before violence occurs. Experienced officers learn to recognize subtle behavioral changes. A disagreement today could become tomorrow's assault. A new friendship might signal future problems. Nothing inside maximum security is ignored for long. Even conversations matter. Especially conversations held in whispers. Because information can be as dangerous as weapons. And speaking to the wrong person can have consequences that last for years. Communication with the outside world. One of the hardest realities of incarceration is separation. Parents miss birthdays. Children grow older. Marriages fall apart. Friends gradually stop writing. The USDB allows approved communication with family members through established procedures. Letters, telephone calls, visitation, electronic communication where authorized. Each privilege comes with rules. Violations can lead to restrictions. For many inmates, visits become the highlight of an entire month. Hours of anticipation. A few precious conversations. Then another goodbye. Families experience their own punishment. Children struggle to understand why a parent cannot come home. Parents grow old while sons remain behind bars. Relationships become difficult to maintain across years of incarceration. Some survive. Many do not. Eventually, silence replaces conversation. And for inmates serving decades, loneliness can become one of the heaviest sentences of all. But what happens when prison rules are broken? The answer is far more structured than many people imagine. Every prison has rules. But inside the United States Disciplinary Barracks, rules are more than institutional policy. They are the foundation of military order. When an inmate violates those rules, the response is rarely immediate anger or chaos. Instead, it begins with documentation. Staff secure the situation. Witnesses are interviewed. Evidence is collected. Reports are written. Military corrections operate within an extensive chain of accountability, and every significant disciplinary action is carefully reviewed. For inmates, that means there are very few opportunities to hide misconduct. Whether the offense involves fighting, threatening another inmate, possessing unauthorized property, refusing orders, or attempting to disrupt institutional operations, investigators examine every detail before discipline is imposed. The consequences depend on the severity of the violation. Minor infractions may result in the loss of privileges. More serious offenses can lead to administrative segregation, additional restrictions, or criminal charges under military law. The process may seem methodical, but its purpose is simple: prevent small problems from becoming major ones. Because once violence begins inside a maximum security prison, restoring order becomes much more difficult. And nowhere is that reality more evident than inside segregation. Life in segregation. Few inmates want to end up in segregation. The housing is more restrictive. Movement is limited. Contact with others is greatly reduced. Time seems to slow even further. A typical day revolves around isolation. Meals arrive through secure slots in the cell door. Exercise, when authorized, takes place under tightly controlled conditions. Every movement is monitored. Every interaction is brief. For some inmates, segregation is temporary. For others, especially those who repeatedly violate institutional rules or pose serious security risks, it can last much longer. Correctional experts often describe isolation as one of the most psychologically demanding experiences in any prison. Without regular conversation, without meaningful social interaction, without the rhythm of normal housing units, even mentally resilient individuals can struggle. That is why correctional staff continually assess inmates placed in restrictive housing. Security is important, but so is mental stability. Maintaining both is one of the greatest challenges any prison faces. Medical care behind the walls. Even inside a maximum security military prison, healthcare remains a daily responsibility. The institution provides medical, dental, and mental health services to inmates. Some prisoners arrive with chronic illnesses developed long before incarceration. Others develop health problems after years behind bars. Routine appointments continue under escort. Emergency care remains available when necessary. Mental health care receives particular attention. Long sentences place enormous emotional strain on inmates. Depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, substance abuse histories. The effects of combat. Some prisoners enter the USDB carrying emotional wounds from military service long before committing their crimes. Others struggle with overwhelming guilt after conviction. Psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, and medical staff work within the correctional environment to reduce the risk of self-harm and maintain institutional safety. Their work often goes unnoticed. But in many cases, it prevents tragedy. The reality of violence. Hollywood often portrays prisons as places where violence happens every hour. Reality is far different. The United States Disciplinary Barracks has experienced violent incidents throughout its history, including assaults involving inmates and, on rare occasions, staff. However, daily life is not defined by constant fighting. In fact, much of the institution's success depends on preventing violence before it begins. Constant supervision. Structured routines. Intelligence gathering. Searches. Professional staff. These measures significantly reduce opportunities for organized disorder. That does not mean danger disappears. Every correctional officer understands that even a calm day can change without warning. A disagreement over respect. A personal conflict. A mental health crisis. An inmate with nothing left to lose. Any of these situations can escalate quickly. That uncertainty is part of the profession. And it is one reason correctional work remains among the most demanding careers in public service. Can someone truly change? Perhaps the most difficult question surrounding the USDB has nothing to do with security. It concerns redemption. Can someone who committed a terrible crime genuinely change? The answer depends on who you ask. Victims' families often carry grief that never fades. For them, justice may never feel complete. Some believe rehabilitation is possible. Others believe certain crimes permanently define a person. Correctional professionals often view the question differently. Their responsibility is not to erase the past. It is to manage the present while preparing eligible inmates for whatever future remains. Some prisoners leave determined never to return. Others struggle after release. Some rebuild relationships. Others spend the rest of their lives attempting to earn forgiveness they know may never come. No prison can undo a crime. No sentence can reverse a victim's suffering. But prisons can influence what happens next. That possibility is one reason educational programs, counseling, and structured routines continue to exist, even inside a maximum security military prison. Because without the possibility of change, correction becomes nothing more than confinement. The legacy of the United States Disciplinary Barracks. For more than a century, the United States Disciplinary Barracks has occupied a unique place in American history. It has confined war criminals, murderers, spies, violent offenders, former officers, enlisted soldiers, men who once served with distinction, and men whose names became synonymous with betrayal. Its purpose has always extended beyond punishment. The institution reflects one of the military's core principles. No one is above the law. Not rank, not medals, not years of honorable service. When serious crimes are committed, accountability follows. That principle has remained constant through wars, political change, and generations of service members. Behind these walls, uniforms no longer represent achievement. They represent equality before military justice. Every inmate lives under the same rules. Every day begins with the same count. Every door closes with the same unmistakable sound. And every sentence serves as a reminder that even those entrusted with defending a nation remain accountable to its laws. From the outside, the United States Disciplinary Barracks looks like another secure correctional facility. Concrete, steel, guard towers, razor wire. But inside those walls lies a world unlike any other prison in America. It is a place where military discipline continues long after a service member's career has ended. Where structure replaces freedom. Where routine becomes survival. Where rank disappears. Where every inmate carries not only the weight of a criminal conviction but also the memory of an oath once taken. Some will eventually walk out carrying another chance. Others will spend the rest of their lives behind these walls. But every one of them leaves behind a story that serves as a powerful reminder. A single decision can erase years of sacrifice. A single crime can destroy a lifetime of honor. And inside America's only maximum security military prison, those lessons are lived every single day. This has been a journey inside one of the most unique correctional institutions in the United States, a place where military discipline and criminal justice meet behind the same walls. If you found this documentary insightful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more in-depth prison and true crime documentaries, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, thank you for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next documentary.